This is a forum of pretty good question. Just some forums you just kind of ask general questions for people. Some people go a little bit off topic sometimes, and some people just have curious ideas that they come up with, and this is an example of that.
Could I be the Greek god Apollo?
No. Next question.
Well, here's the thing, Matt. I already am an angelkin.
No, you're not.
And I never considered the possibility of me being a godkin or my soul being many centuries old. But from obscure information, I learned that a variant of my name, by which I go by as Pitchus or
Bitch.
Pythius.
Have you ever fucking strangled 2 snakes in a fucking crib? You ain't a demigod. You ain't a godkin. What even... Oh, like, you wanted to trigger Lundy Goat, but you triggered me. Fuck.
The soul name that I go by can also be Pythius, a lesser known epithet or nickname for the Greek god Apollo.
Well, with how long this is, like, you don't live up to your namesake because it's not that pithy.
As for evidence that I might be in fact him, we share many similarities. For one, we both have a love for physics or oracles.
Apollo didn't know about fucking physics. What are you talking?
He had many oracles, at least 10, to speak on his behalf. The famous one in Delphi was called the Pythia. And I take heed in biblical prophets, Nostradamus, the Long Island Medium, and many others.
That is just that sounds like that sounds like somebody like the bobbies would be hunted down in like the 1930s. Like, we got to get this Long Island Medium. You've see?
Never heard of the Long Island Medium, man?
No.
She's like a wine mom in fucking. What is it?
I think she's in New Jersey, isn't she?
No, Long Island. So
okay.
I mean, it's in the name, Lundy. It's
shut the fuck up. I just keep thinking of a Jersey girl in my head.
It's like, no, the Long Island Medium. It's just a name. She's actually in fucking Rhode Island. It's like that bit from The Simpsons where it's like it's you to life on Monster Island. Oh, don't worry, it's just a name. It's like, I thought it was just a name. It's actually a peninsula.
I was trying to remember what channel, and of course it's TLC, and she had 14 seasons of a reality show on that.
Of course she did.
14 seasons of Long Island Medium.
That's why I was thinking she's Long Island.
I forget if I brought this up. Because
she's Caputo, which makes her Italian. I was
Goat just fucking... He ended up billiard balling like something into my brain. Did we ever talk about the child adult?
Billiard balling. Yeah, we talked about it.
Yeah, so we were looking up clips of it. I don't remember if I talked about this part specifically. We were looking up clips of this, and apparently on one of the episodes when she was dating people and not currently engaged, one of them was a black dude, and it's just like, why would you do that? Why would you, as a black man in America, willingly go outside and hold hands, go into intimate settings with someone who looks like an 8-year-old white girl? Have you never seen the fucking Green Mile? Have you never read a fucking history book? Like, come the fuck on, dude. He had to have been suicidal. It had to have been like just like, I want to die.
Literally just saying that he was asking for a lynching.
Yeah. It's like, oh, you know where I want to go on our date? A police station.
Other similarities between me and the Greek god Apollo. He was a patron of music, healing, and knowledge, and these are attributes that could describe me. I favor knowledge and music, and even know some Reiki terms of healing.
You dumb bitch.
He is bisexual and fine with polygamous relationships. Have to come out of the closet on this one, and I don't mind the possibility of me having multiple partners of either gender.
And a coward.
He liked animals such as wolves, birds, and deer, in considering them sacred. I happen to be an animal lover and am against hunting of such.
You know who we could thank for this? Like-
Who?
Like every horrible thing in America in the last 40 years, Ronald Reagan.
Ronald
Him
Reagan?
Yeah, him shutting down all of the asylums in the 80s, it let people like this out on the streets. Like before 1980, if somebody was like, oh, I might be the reincarnation of the Greek god Apollo, you know what would happen to them? They get fucking thrown into a padded room. Because we used to be a fucking real country. And not whatever bullshit sham we are now.
Considered a Koros or a beardless young man, this
And
would
I know,
describe me
I would
physically.
definitely be in an asylum under this, but it's like, you know what? I'd like that. I'd fucking thrive in that environment.
So the only things that really go against my theory is that I don't shoot arrows and I don't play any instrument lest I play the lyre/harp. Those are the only things that go against the theory, huh?
Yeah, those are the only two. Like, I don't know how to play an instrument and the other dumb thing.
I don't shoot arrow. I'm not an archer.
Oh, yeah.
Couldn't be, the fact that Apollo's not real. Couldn't be the fact that
It couldn't be that the true God, the God of the book, Elohim, came out of the east and slew the ancient blood gods of Europe. Apollo's dead.
Couldn't be that the sun is actually not driven around on a chariot.
By the way, I was thinking about this. Like, the God of the book is legitimately the most powerful God. Like, canonically. Like, as the Judean god Elohim, he killed the gods of the east. As the god Jehovah, he came into the west and slew the old blood gods of Europe. And as the god and as Allah, he has continued that fucking on the new the United States.
So, could I be Apollo? I think there's a possibility, but chances are, because of New Age material.
What I'm saying is this bitch needs to accept Jesus Christ into her life and stop this fucking nonsense.
It's a beardless young man.
You can still be a bitch and a man, Lundy. It's 2023.
He identifies as a man. I'm identifying as a man. You said her.
I don't care.
Okay.
Cancel Lundy.
Cancel Matt. He's the one fucking
Look,
misidentified.
I'm cashing in my I didn't play the blood libel and broomsticks game chip here. I get to misgender the retard who thinks he's a reincarnation of the god Apollo. Cashing in my token. Let it be known.
I could just be his twin flame or a shard/piece/copy of him, or his son or some other emulation of his soul, or just namology, in which a person's name can make them who they are. Fucking Jesus. Apollo did have many of these epithets, but this one is truly very close to the name.
And they said we got smarter after we took the lead out of the gasoline.
When you take a name, is that something that anybody can just give to you? Because like your parents give you a name, right? And you just kind of go whatever and just roll with it. So like anything that you're called, you just are. So like,
like Lundy, look at my nom de plume of choice, like napalm. Like I'm fairly hot tempered. I'm a liquid, mostly like 70% water. I've done a lot of bad things to the Vietnamese community.
And the veteran community of America.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah, and especially the Vietnam vets. Like fuck them. The only Vietnam vets I fucking respect are the ones who fucking fragged their commanders. It was like, oh, like our lieutenant officers that sleep in his tent. You know, it'd be a good play. You know, it'd be great right in there. A grenade.
This is a little bit of a.
The only Vietnam vets you supported were the ones who were putting their shit on punji sticks.
I had to like. I mean, yeah. I do respect the Vietnamese vets. They won. Like you gotta give it to them.
So this is going to be quite the tangent, but Sykes' dad was a Vietnam vet, and he has a weird story about his dad where apparently, because his dad was like, I don't know, like 90 something when he died, and his mom is like fucking like 70 or some shit. I don't know. And apparently, and this is according to his dad, I guess, on his 21st birthday, when he cracked open his first legal beer, someone at the party said, a baby has just been born that you're eventually going to be married to. Which is a very strange thing to say. And
Yeah,
yet
well,
is
That sounds
true.
like a gypsy curse.
I'm gonna go ahead and
Like he just stole like the old gypsy lady's beer, and she's like, "A baby will be born that you will marry."
I'm gonna go ahead and potentially cell phone here and say that in a kind of joking way, that's how my great grandparents met.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, one of them was like a farm
Through a
boy.
gypsy curse.
One of them was a farm boy who worked on a farm, and then the guy that owned the farm, his wife gave birth, and they were talking about how beautiful the baby was. They said, "If you're not too careful, I'll end up marrying this one." And then
That's actually what happens.
when she turned 18,
Jesus.
he didn't do anything before 18. I'm pretty sure.
I know, but like still, it's just such
Well,
a weird
look,
Twilight fucking.
here's the
bullshit.
thing. Here's the
Don't-
thing.
Don't talk about my people.
Your grandfather? No, I'm going to actually stand your grandfather. Your peepaw, honorable man. He warned the father, "You better be careful." The father obviously was not careful, and he planted his fucking flag, both metaphorically and figuratively.
I have a sad story with him that you probably think was based, Matt.
Oh no.
One of his
All
kids, one of his kids wanted to see Santa Claus, and she ended up getting tuberculosis and died. And he told his wife to not let any of the other kids believe in Santa Claus after that.
That is kind of based. Just like, this is a no Santa house from now on. There will be no joy around this time of year. I thought it was going to be like, oh, he dressed up as Santa and spent the last hours of her life. But it's like, no.
He just banned
I
Santa.
Fuck that elf. Every winter, every Christmas Eve, he's just on the porch with a shotgun, just waiting.
Shout out great grandpa Peepop.
That would be a great like horror movie version of Santa Claus. It's like he steals children to be his. You know what? I think that was like the Goldberg Santa Claus movies plot. Now that I think about it more.
He was also a slender man.
Oh, everybody was back then.
He was like he was rail thin, and he was like 6'10". They're like pictures of him standing next to a truck, and he's like towering over it.
He's got like an HP Lovecraft face.
It's just this giant who has a hatred for Santa. That's what my family has it. I can't believe I've never told that story before.
That's a great one, though.
I forget, because like I was telling somebody about. Was it you who's technically related to one of the Lincoln assassins, or was it somebody else?
No, it's me, Mary Surratt.
Yeah, because I was telling somebody about that, and they were like, "Wait, really?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Fun, how do you do?
So back to not
Apollo.
Apollo did have many of these epithets, but this one is truly very close to the name I go by, and the similarities between us would seem to make sense in terms of reincarnation. Wouldn't reincarnation require him to die? Oh, well, I guess we already gone over that. Yep. Elohim killed him. So
how about Apollo Homo?
Yeah, Elohim. Elohim just battered him and broke him.
In relation to the Greek/Roman religion and me, I had read parts of the Odyssey in school. I read an abridged version, a Metamorphosis, where Apollo is a character.
Speaking of the Odyssey, and you can continue after I ask this, Lundy, because I'm going to have to look up the picture of it, but Are any of you familiar with Rob Liefeld's Goddessy comic?
No.
Slightly, but not enough to like go into
Okay,
detail.
like continue, and I will just post the picture, and it'll be like go when he posted the Auschwitz retard.
And I study the religion of Wicca that takes inspiration from the goddess Diana / Artemis, who is Apollo's twin sister. I'm very alien to Greek / Roman mythology, but I have had some exposure to it, and so I asked my fellow Otherkin, do you think I might actually be Apollo? If I actually am, then I clearly need some revaluation of myself and my destiny.
Oh God.
And then he gets a reality check from someone who apparently is a lion and a reef shark.
The most valid of critiques.
Quoting that his name is a variant of Pythias, which is an epithet nickname for Apollo. He says,
"Oh yeah, that should be real quick just to acknowledge it. That should be the caveat here is the fact that this guy's too crazy for the people who think that they're animals."
This guy says, "It sounds like you're just finding things."
It's like now you're going a little far.
This sounds like you're just kind of finding things to make being Apollo or connected to him a thing. Quoting all of the quote unquote evidence that Pythias wrote, he says, this describes a good chunk of the male population on the planet, and all of these things are entirely human. And then in response to Pythias saying, well, the only thing that can go against my theory is that I'm not an archer and I don't play an instrument. He says, well, those two things are, again, very human. What I would honestly say is that it sounds like you want your hypothesis to be true and are finding ways to find it as opposed to being objective and looking at the situation to the point of finding deeper meaning in perfectly normal human things. Pythias responds, either way, gods and angels are usually humanized in description in order for mortals to understand them, or else a six-winged being with the face of a horse would make no sense. I would only want the hypothesis to be true if it were a matter of fact. In the case, I may as well be Apollo. I am uncertain of calling myself a Clement right now, but I do feel the possibility does exist, by which I might have the right to do so, and or that I could be later regarded as such. In response, yet again, Seraphina, lion reef shark. The reasons you're given for the possibility are all human things. They don't indicate a kin type, let alone being a god. Cetus, who identifies as a pharaoh. I can't read this. It's too blurred.
Let me look at it real quick. I'll try to get it for you.
Or Silas? No, that's Silas.
Are you just reading the name, or are you trying to read the whole thing?
I'm trying
Sorry,
to read
I wasn't
identity.
talking. I was uploading the picture. There it is. That's from a real comic. Rob Liefeld actually made this.
The top of the lion and reef shark one.
That's with Jesus, right?
Yeah, that's a Jesus Christ ripping himself off of the cross to beat down the Roman gods.
Yeah, I was looking at Silas there. I was trying to figure out what the fuck these identities were.
I can read the white text if you're having a problem with it.
Well, no. I can read the quotes and the regular postings. I was just looking at the members and their identities.
Oh, yeah, no. Pythias or Pythias is the name of.
No. I know Pythias is the one that identifies as an angel and might be Apollo. And right. I know Seraphina here is the one who is a lion and a reef shark, but I can't read Silas's. It looks like a Nunaki or something.
Where's Silas? I'm sorry, I can't.
Right underneath Seraphina's second post.
Hang on.
Right above
Carmelo
Rosso.
Yeah, what part of it can you not read?
The identity on Silas. I can't make that out.
Anunnaki.
Okay, so it is Anunnaki. And Fuka?
And Dist Tengu Walken.
You know what the Christians really missed?
Read it in a Christopher Walken voice because we're funny and original here.
The Christians really missed like a cool bit where like they should have, instead of being like, oh, all the other gods were false, like No, the other gods are real. They were weak.
Dude, I would love if I died and I met an Anunnaki and it just had Christopher Walken's voice. That'd fucking rule.
Okay, so Silas says, but if the traits you listed are humanized,
No,
you're really gonna make me do Christopher Walken.
it's one sentence.
It's not one sentence.
It's two sentences. Whatever. Just do it.
But
He
if the
doesn't show up.
traits you listed were humanized, how can you know who Apollo really is? And if you are him, I think it's not really helpful to rely on traits listed by humans, let alone the fact that not everything that's written by them about certain entities is always accurate.
It wasn't that bad. You kind of, for some reason, start going into a Hasidic Christopher Walken.
Carmelo Rosso says,
Need
and,
to
oh,
make
by the
sure
way,
that gotta make sure the goyim.
Carmelo
Oh,
Rosso
yeah.
also identifies as a goddess. So there you go. As a godkin, I'd first question what makes you a god and not an angel. The reason I believed I was a goddess is because I found out that my kin parents were both goddesses, and it was only logical that I'd be a goddess too.
What the fuck?
Through meditation, memories, and a lot of time in the astral realm.
Mm-hmm.
Warning, I have faced Allah in the astral realm. He is too powerful.
Pieces of Exodia if I am.
God, I miss. That was like the best. That was like the honestly one of the best days ever. Was like discovering r/Wiccans versus the Taliban, and just reading the nonsense of like. Because, like, Lundy, did you ever see that? Because there was literally somebody who was like, I have fought Allah on the astral plane. I barely survived. He is too powerful to fight one-on-one. If you see Allah in the astral plane, avoid him.
That sounds like it's...
They're talking
sounds
about like
magical.
he's a persona boss.
Yeah.
Which I guess technically Allah is a persona boss.
I guess, yeah. I started doing that when I figured that I didn't feel human and I felt like I was in another world. I knew I needed something more tangible. So in short, that's evidence on what makes someone akin.
You know, it'd be fun, Lundy, in the next Persona game if they actually did introduce like an Allah demon, and it's just invisible. It's just nothing there. It's just like
What,
a little like.
You wouldn't want them to have like some dude who's got like little babies like crawling all over him.
No, because I don't want Atlas to get like firebombed.
Apparently, they got raided a while back.
But like, you know, it'd also be funny.
Who did? The Otherkin forums?
No, the Bewitched, the Taliban one.
Yeah, they got because a bunch of fakes started flooding them.
It just started there. They just have like pictures of Muslims giving the finger, saying Allah had relations with your mother.
Oh,
Shit like that.
Lame. That's lame. Fuck.
But you know, it'd also be funny because in a lot of things they do, they a lot of, like I don't know if you've ever played Crusader Kings, right? But you can go back into the genealogy of like a lot of the Muslim leaders who are supposedly related to Allah, and instead of having like a portrait of Allah, they just have the script. You know, his name in script. Like, do that as a demon. Like, have it be like the persona equivalent of like the unknown from Pokemon, where it's just like, oh yeah, we just threw some fucking googly eyes on the wavy Arabic text and made that into a monster.
Matt, have you seen where there's a conspiracy theory that the royal family is descendants of Muhammad?
Yeah,
That's a fun one.
Have you seen that, Wendy?
No.
It's pretty fun. Oh yeah, also it's
Asking how he knows that he's a god and not an angel, and he says, well, why not both? As it has been suggested, one can be a multiple and have many kin types. The celestial world could allow for such to occur. Look at Zadkiel. another user on the forum, who identifies as an archangel, a wolf, an elf, a fox, and also a Greek god as well.
Jesus Christ, make up your fucking mind with your dumb bullshit.
Well,
Like, this isn't Dungeons and Dragons.
The problem here, Matt, is that Pituous apparently is unaware of what multiple means. This will be explained by the experts.
This is...
Carmela Rosa responds, well, that wouldn't necessarily make you a Greek god. Your headmate would be a Greek god, but that doesn't necessitate that you are. In my experiences, I consider a headmate an individual. To which Seraphina then clarifies, a multiple is not someone with multiple kin types. A multiple is someone who shares their headspace with distinct individual entities, you see.
So schizophrenic. Got it.
These were the precursors to people who identify as systems now. You see a lot of those on TikTok.
Chimera.
What the fuck is a system?
You don't know about that?
Oh, you don't know the systems? Oh, no.
You don't know
No, because, like, look, I don't watch anything on TikTok.
You don't
Well,
know
I don't watch it on
Hold on.
TikTok either. I see YouTubers talking about it.
Wait. Let me see if this, Matt. Does the label DID mean anything to you?
Dead?
Okay, so essentially what it is it's a bunch of teenagers who believe that they are a system of multiple personalities that I think the range I've seen is anywhere between like 30 to 80.
Well,
usually.
no, generally speaking, I only see maybe about like 5.
No, dude, you haven't seen some of the crazy.
Well, sure. I'm not saying that there aren't those out there who decide to expand it into like many, many more, but I think the general tone is like a small circle.
I saw one who was straight up like, yeah, I have like the same amount, like no joke, being like, yeah, I have the same amount of like a small town in my head.
Again, thanks, Ronald Reagan.
Chimera here, who does identify.
He used to have a place for these people, and it wasn't society. And again,
says,
I know I would be locked up in the institution as well, but again, I would thrive. It'd be a wolf amongst the sheep.
Be the shit stain covered king.
Yeah. Remember, in the land of the retards, the autistic man is king.
Chimera says, there's a lot to Apollo as a deity, plus what you brought up could apply to almost anyone. Perhaps you merely just have traits which Apollo is over, or perhaps merely have a connection or affinity to him. Those are things you could look into. In response to why he couldn't be both and what a multiple is, he also clarifies, or they, I suppose, clarify, multiple does not mean many kin types. It's something unrelated to being otherkin. Rather, it means a body that has many identities, people personalizes, etc. in one body. Those people may or may not be otherkin, but those people are not each other's kin types.
You know what they definitely are, in my professional opinion, as a podcaster? Schizophrenics.
Zachiel responds because he has been called, I don't know. They've been called out by Pitches as being someone who identifies as an archangel, a wolf, an elf, a fox, and a Greek god. And they say, that's cute. I don't identify as all those. Those are simply past lives. I don't believe Otherkin can identify as more than one being. If you read correctly, it says past lives, mate. Before mentioning me, it would be smart to actually speak with me.
Okay, real quickly. Go back to what were his past lives?
An archangel, a wolf, an elf.
When the fuck were you an elf? Also, like,
wait, so you don't question archangel, but then you're like elf.
Well, it's like, okay, like, look, Archangel, he might have been one of the angels that died in the war in heaven. Like, who knows? But it's like, when were there fucking elves? Come on.
I will say this much. If this is like, if this is the system he's like bragging about, this sounds like a really retarded falling down the steps version of the caste system.
Well, I was gonna say, it makes it like karma and like the Buddhist and like Hindu idea of like reincarnation. That at least makes sense because it's like it's based on like your actions, right?
And
what
racism.
What did the archangel do to become a wolf? And what did the wolf do to become an elf? And what did the elf do to become a fucking fox?
And then Fox became human.
Yeah, and then, well, look, he's British. He used the word mate, so, like, half human at best. He's probably mostly deep one in this reincarnation of disgusting fish man.
I was gonna say deformed fish creature.
Yeah,
Someone
They
with
all look-
a censored name.
they all
with
got
a-
that Innsmouth look about them.
They gotta look that a lot of them look like if you had a really wrinkled knee and put a wig over it. That's how a lot of their foreheads look. I hate the British.
Someone
We
with a
all do.
censored name who identifies as a phoenix and is also apparently banned, at least at the time of this screenshot, says, "From what I have seen with personal experience, gods and goddesses can interact with humans as vessels, avatars, incarnations, or mental manifestations. Vessels are humans with a direct link to a god or goddess. Avatars are an embodiment of a god or goddess. Incarnations are a god or goddess born into the form and life of a human. Manifestations are more of a god or slash goddess, temporarily making a mental connection to a human for some reason. All of these are possible. Whether any of these are you, and you are indeed Apollo in some fashion, look for the explanation that seems to resonate with what you feel, then meditate on the issue to see if the side that is wholly Apollo confirms this. Even an incarnation has part of them that is fully aware god slash goddess, so they can still carry out their duties."
It'd be
What
funny.
duties? What?
We
Hold
like
on.
to think Greek philosophers are like, yeah. Go ahead, Lundy.
What? If he were to actually be Apollo, let's say we all are in agreement. Yeah, you are Apollo.
You know what? I don't
What?
like it, but I'll go with you on this.
What does that entail? Because he has said that he has to reevaluate what he's supposed to be doing. Then this person says, you need to figure it out so that you can carry out your duties. What duties will he be accomplishing if he finds out that he actually is Apollo?
Question, Lundy, is there like timestamps? Like, could we get a date for when this was going down?
I don't know, but it's past 2014.
Okay, yeah, I do remember that time in like 2015 when like the sun stopped working because Apollo was like, man, dude, should I carry my chariot? Should I ride my chariot to pull the sun across the sky from the angry wolves that want to eat the sun?
I always thought that like this was just like a bunch of people just kind of like role playing some fun. That's kind of like the way I saw the other.
No,
panels,
these are
generally
mentally
speaking.
ill people.
I did not think that they thought like, well, shit, it turns out that I am a Greek god. I must go forth into the world and perform what he did. What?
I'm just, you know that meme of like, you know what, fuck it, I got it on my computer, I can post it.
You got people identifying as seraphs. Like, are you going out and being an angel to people? Are you like what do you like? What does this identity compel you to do?
Are you just gluing a bunch of eyeballs to you and just being like, be not afraid?
I didn't think that this actually had like an effect on the way in which they actually lived their lives.
Yeah, again, blame Reagan.
In response to Zadkiel saying that they don't believe that they are all those things simultaneously, merely that they are past lives, Pituous says, "Oh, I'm sorry, as I had the presumption that all lives were regarded as important in a certain way or another. But I very much agree the soul is a central being that controls, or at least inhabits, all others. You were just the best example I could think of with that many different kinds of lives that was one thing at a certain point in time." Another a suspended account of someone.
Yeah,
who
that's him. That's this guy as Apollo, just whipping fucking dodgeballs around at people and giving them prophecies.
A suspended account that identifies as an endless in Denmark.
What the fuck is an endless? Look this up right fucking now.
I
That's
don't.
not even a thing that's in the D&D monster manual. What the fuck is an endless?
Otherkin endless.
If this is something he made up,
Um,
fuck this guy.
I'm not finding anything.
He just made it. Fuck this guy.
Probably why his account got suspended. Who knows?
We're so fucking in after all, you bitch.
So in response to Pituous saying, I very much agree the soul is a central being that controls or at least inhabits all others.
What, like
This
a
person
fucking
says-
Gundam pilot?
This endless fellow says, yeah, you have none, do you? Or maybe you do, and that is what inhabits you.
Oh, I can see why you got suspended. Like, you have no soul. Just fucking Akuma, Street Fighter 2, coming down to punch M. Bison to death out of nowhere. I kind of like this guy now.
I will not tell you what you are and what you are and not. But Greek gods do not have a soul as a central part of themselves. For that, I am more than sure. Souls are something inhibited by the general human population and others to control them by the angel realm. I usually use the image of
Okay,
bugs'
I
attraction to the bug light.
I don't like this guy anymore.
I know that Apollo was dazed
made
by
it
the
weird.
promise of the angelic realms, and his sister Artemis suffered his vanity, at least from the stories I seem to uncover. Uncover? Like he's doing an archaeological dig?
Okay, go. I got a sequel idea for this episode. You need to look up more shit from this guy. I need to know the lore that he has uncovered. You and I and Lundy, we all three know the reason this motherfucker got suspended is because he made a big lore thread and it made everybody angry. They were like, no, this contradicts my fucking schizophrenic voices. Fuck off.
And both in one way or another ended intertwined with the angelic realms. When I first uncovered Godkin, I was very much connected to Hermes. Now he no longer is connected to me. One person clearly identifies me as the Titan Krios. I identify myself as something far more expanded.
Ominous.
With a big old grinning face at the end there.
Oh, you know, he probably identifies as like the chaos, the firmament. What a lame bitch.
Another person named LG responds to the whole threat saying, well,
See, this is what happens when you have an entire generation who wasn't bullied.
This is a person who's a very infrequent poster, but is a very long-time lurker, it seems, because they joined back in 2007 and only have 23 posts. And they say, well, at least you got Apollo in the vanity department. But okay, here everyone gets to be what he believes, but I honestly would advise you to stay away from Greece, as the Olympians are strongest there. If you read the myth of Marsicus and Apollo, here's the wiki article, you see that what Apollo did to someone who claimed to be a better musician. I wouldn't want to think what he would do to someone who claims to be him, just in case you're wrong. Okay.
Also, you dumb bitch, the Greek gods are dead. We went over this. Jehovah killed him.
The Phoenix responds to that post saying, might not be my place to say this, but pretty much all gods and goddesses who preside over creative arts or beauty are vain when it comes to their forte. Take even the story of Arachne and Athena, which is a more valid argument for the vanity of gods. All versions I've heard have Arachne claiming to have been better than Athena at weaving. Athena challenged Arachne and turned her into a
You know, I
spider.
just realized
She
something,
lost.
Lundy. I have more credible connection to Apollo than this dipshit.
Oh, yeah?
How many times have I predicted things and they've come true? Apollo has clearly cursed me with the gift of foresight.
You're the new you're you're the new medium, I guess.
I'm Cassandra, forever doomed to see the future, but nobody listens to me.
The tale that you referenced, even in the page you linked, says there are two versions where the one where Apollo challenges Marsyas after hearing his skill, and the one where Marsyas challenges Apollo. One is a tale of pride by Marsyas, and the other a tale of the gods' vanity. Olympians are not necessarily stronger in Greece, but by your logic, if he is Apollo, he'll get stronger if he goes there. That's like saying that someone who thinks they are a naiad should stay away from fresh water, lakes, and rivers because the real naiads might do something. It's just insanity piled on insanity piled on insanity. I fucking love this. LG responds to that by saying, "What I meant is that if he might be mistaken and the real Apollo might be offended, he is more than likely to enact a revenge on his home ground than elsewhere."
Do you think if they had like
Muriel.
computers, like 5,000, like 2,000 years or whatever ago when they did the nice? Do you think this is what it would have been like? Just a bunch of dweebs arguing? Like, no, like God became man, and it's like, no, God was separate from man.
Yes. That's literally what like the Nicene Council was all about, Matt. Muriel, who identifies as a unicorn, responds to the entire thread by saying, "I think this can apply to any of us here, but sometimes the knowledge that we're anything we claim to be can only be found within ourselves. I've questioned whom I was, and that's natural.
Do you think they were Otherkin in their other lives? Like going back to the fucker who was like an archangel and then a wolf and then an elf. Like, do you think the wolf was ever like, oh shit, man, I used to be an archangel.
And then the elf was like, ah, shit, man, I used to be a wolf.
That used to be an archangel. And then the fox was like, I used to be an elf. That used to be a wolf. That used to be an archangel.
Fuck.
What is the actual point of being an Otherkin?
That's my question. Like, my thing was
Cause-
like this clearly can only be something that you just do for funsies. You can't. This doesn't mean anything. But then some of these people are like, well, if you are Apollo, then you have duties. And he's like, yes, I have to reevaluate where I'm going in life. It's like, what?
Because, like, I guess it's just a more extreme version of like that whole like, oh, in another life I was Napoleon Bonaparte. Like that kind of bullshit. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, did you see recently the fucking dude who was on TikTok? Now, this is a TikTok thing I did see. The guy who fucking was like, oh yeah, in another life I was Hitler. And I'm not ashamed of that.
You saw that guy too?
Yeah. And it's like,
Go. I don't know if you saw that fucker.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
he looked like an anorexic version of Bubbles from fucking Trailer Park Boys.
I was thinking Powerpuff Girls, honestly. Like, he looked like a grown-up, very, like, androgynous version. Oh, fuck. With the fucking nose ring and shit.
I'm actually surprised it took us
It's just
this
so
long
funny.
to bring that guy up in this other kind of episode.
It's just so funny because it's like, hey, man, can you not wear Nazi paraphernalia in your pictures and videos? It's, like, really weird.
I don't
me.
even know if there's a number to quantify how much he downed here.
Like, and then he goes, excuse me, but I used to be Hitler in my past life. It's very traumatic.
At the very least, I would conservatively say 6 million times down on this. Probably more, maybe less. I don't know.
On the karmic wheel, like, considering that you get reborn as something like worse and worse the worse life you live, like, how quickly did Hitler turn his afterlife around? That he got to be reborn as a human.
I mean, to be fair, he was probably like, what? So in terms of like shitty lives, like what he was born, like Hitler was reincarnated into like or something. Like how long does a gnat live?
Sure, I'm just wondering, like, what's the turnaround time here in terms of like how many lives did he have to go through real quick before he could just become a human
Because you would
again
think
within the
like
same century?
within like you would think he'd have it would just be like, oh yeah, he's got to run through all the like that would be my guess with like maybe somebody who knows more about like how like the actual karmatic system works and not just some otherkin mind nonsense. But it's like
you say that like any of us believes it's real.
Well, I'm at least giving the karmic people because it's like, look, your shit's at least old, and I'm willing to give you like some level of respect for that shit.
It's been around for a while, you know.
Yeah.
Once you hit over 1,000 years of belief, it's just like you're solid. That's
Yeah,
a
it's like
valid thing to believe.
it's like, look, I don't believe
Anything
it.
after that, though, you're fucking crazy and deserve to be in
Yeah.
an asylum.
You really do.
All Mormons. All
No. Mormons are the cutoff. They were the
Mormons are
last
the
ones.
cutoff. Okay, all right. So long as it's not beyond 200 years, or is it 300 for Mormons? I can't remember.
200.
Yeah,
200.
200.
I didn't know if it was the 17 or 1800s. Fuck.
It's like, look, as long as we don't have like pictures of your founder, you're good.
If you aren't sure if you're Apollo or not and just connected to him, all those traits you listed can't tell you who you are unless you agree with them 100%.
But, oh yeah, where I was going with this, under a karmatic system, right? Like the universe is like, this Hitler guy, he did a lot of bad. You would think it'd be like, okay, we have to like stretch him out over the amount of lives he took. So that's how long he has to fucking suffer as like a maggot eating shit, or like a baby bird falling out, like just all the shitty lives. So yeah, it is like, why would Hitler already be reincarnated?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. It doesn't really make much sense to me that he'd just get to be a human again this quickly. Within the same century? Come on.
Yeah, like, how fucking... Is there anybody who has lived... Is there any creature... I'm going to expand it out. Any creature that has lived a life so fucking horrible, you could point to it and be like, yes, you know what? I think I know who the actual reincarnation of Hitler is.
Wait.
I think I cracked this code.
Okay.
We got an exclusive on the Go Pen podcast here, people, because I can, thinking about it, point to one life and be like, if I had to peg somebody as the reincarnation of Hitler, this would be that person, Chris Chan.
I thought you were gonna say Zen.
Do you really think?
No, Zen's like a Nazi officer, but like he just like maybe kicked a couple of Jews or something. And then like, instead of like killing himself with like the poison pill, like he accidentally slipped in his fucking jail cell and like broke his neck on the toilet.
Mein Führer, when should we invade Poland?
But think about it.
This shit fucking.
Is there any creature in existence right now more tortured than Christian? Like a bear in a Chinese bowel factory, like in a cage with like literally its side ripped open and tubes coming out of its liver, has a higher quality of life than Christian, because it's only going to live for fucking 2 years. It's going to eventually fucking die quickly.
What about
Chris.
What about Luigi?
No, like again, I think we nailed it. Well, I nailed it. Call me the fucking Romans boy, because I just put Jesus up on the fucking cross.
Oh, fuck. Okay, Chris Chan is the reincarnation of Hitler as a punishment for Hitler doing all the things that he did.
Yeah, and to be fair,
Right.
he's going to be a couple of more Chris Chans.
He's
I'm not saying
at least a couple more.
Hold on.
I would say at
I would say
least...
Chris Chan's life is sufficient punishment for about a third of Hitler's crimes.
More importantly, Matt,
Yeah.
if Chris is Hitler, who was Barb?
Oof. Pol Pot, maybe?
To say who deserves to get the ending that we got there.
Yeah, Pol Pot's pretty good. Fuck, how old is Barb? When was she born?
I don't know, fucking like 1940s, 1930s, something like that.
Okay, Calvin Calhoun. That's who Barb is. Calvin Calhoun or Andrew Johnson.
I don't know. I don't think they necessarily have to have died before the birth date of the reincarnation, because we have already established that you're the reincarnation of fucking the great Antonio, and he.
I'm not a
was alive when
reincarnation.
you-
I was Highlandered. I was quickened into becoming.
Oh, right,
Yeah. I'm an incarnation, not a reincarnation.
That's fair.
Yeah,
Because he
Barb
died
is-
around the time that your life went to shit.
Yeah.
Barb
He
is
died around the
Asian.
time I was like, you know what I want to do? Keyboard cleaner.
Oh, fuck. Maybe that's how it works. You get quickened into people's lives.
Maybe that's why I thought I saw God on keyboard cleaner. It wasn't God. It was the great Antonio just coming into my body. I made a hole in my brain so his soul could get in.
Oh.
Continue, Lundy.
We didn't talk about Inoki dying, did we?
Yeah, we did.
We did.
We did?
Yeah, we did.
I hope they forgave each other in heaven.
That's a weirdly sweet thought. Not only did both of them go to heaven, but you hope they forgave each other.
Every
I
time.
mean, Why
every
wouldn't
time-
the great Antonio go to heaven? Like he was
I mean,
God's funniest
I'm not
soldier.
saying that. I'm not saying that he wouldn't. I mean, I think that he never hurt anybody really.
And yeah, I know Inoki believed in the demonic Shinto gods of Japan, but God's a wrestling fan. That's why he takes so many from us.
God damn it. Every time there's thunder and lightning, it's Antonio stomping on Antonio Ianaki's head in revenge.
Why do you think Satan took Chris Benoit from us? It's because God drafted fucking Eddie Guerrero for the Heaven Wrestling League, and Satan was like, "Fuck, how do I counter this?" Chris, kill your wife and child. Get yourself. Do it.
I think he
now
took
we
all.
have a cosmic fucking draft for the various wrestling
He
leagues.
took,
Yeah.
he took all three of the Benoits to have a stable.
I mean, to be
that-
fair, like Satan needed Benoit because, like, I mean, yeah, Grizzly Smith back in the day was, but like, motherfucker was like a child molesting monster, and he created Jake the Snake. So it's like, yeah,
So Matt, did Lawler's contract become null and void recently, or
yeah, they were arguing over him. They were using it as like, have you ever heard of like the thing that happened with Donald Trump during his divorce with Ivanka?
no?
Where Ivanka tried to use Donald Trump Jr. as leverage in the divorce. It was like, I want sole custody of Donald Trump Jr. And Trump was just like, take him. I don't care. And then she was like, okay, we'll do split custody. And it's just like, I imagine that happened between God and Satan with Lawler, where they're like, as part of some greater fucking ploy.
Lundy,
I am really mad at God right now for taking Jay Briscoe.
his kids got to go home from the hospital that they met.
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, that is a positive, but it's also like, it's bittersweet.
Lundy, continue.
So the unicorn says,
Oh
"If
yeah,
you
I
aren't-"
forgot we were talking
Okay.
about these retards.
The unicorn says, "For me personally, I did know Apollo in a past life."
Okay, greatest opening ever. Like, I did personally know Apollo, and you, sir, are no Apollo. I served with Apollo.
In a past life when I lived in Greece and knew many of the gods and goddesses, and was under their protection. He had flaws, but he was still a good person.
Is that it? Is that all they were contributed to this?
No, they said so I had read what they had said earlier, but like we had lost track of it, which was to say I think this can apply to any of us here, but sometimes the knowledge of us being anything blah blah blah, do a meditation. That was essentially it.
Wait,
like, hey,
this
if
is
you're
their
not sure, meditate.
Wait, this isn't their first time posting in this thread?
No, this is their first time posting this thread. Muriel the Unicorn.
Okay, because I was gonna say, like, if they had already posted and not let off with, oh yeah, by the way, I know Apollo.
Delante She-Wolf posts, I think I am/was a goddess, like the daughter of the gods, Greek gods. So you're not alone in this. Maybe it's like a punishment?
I love it. Like, your existence is a punishment.
The Endless Man responds, I am curious what precisely you mean by that, Delante She-Wolf. If you have any more words to share on that thought of yours, it would be greatly appreciated, grinning face. And also, do you know which god/goddess you are/were a daughter of?
Also, since this guy, like, since he doesn't, he just made up whatever bullshit he's pretending to be, and it's not real, and there's no, like, visual reference for me, I'm just imagining he's, like, from Minecraft, but with, like, Notch's head.
If he is identifying as kind of like what I perceive it as, like endless, I'm just thinking that just like he serves as a receptacle for like a bajillion fucking lives that constantly go through.
I figure it's just like a non-copyright version of like a. It's like
of a what?
It's like a Highlander. Like it's a pretentious way of saying he's an immortal. Where it's like, oh, I'm not immortal. I'm endless. It's like, you know what? I would like to really test that fucking theory right now with a fucking curb.
So this person, Erethan, who identifies as a she fairy, she being the Irish C, the SIDHE bullshit.
Oh my god, a baloney Sith.
Yeah.
That's an old Pathfinder reference.
Yeah, it is.
I can't say words right. Bazaboo.
Well, I wouldn't consider a coincidence of name to be strong evidence of being a god shard, slash godkin slash avatar of Apollo. No.
I should go on this thread and be like, yeah, I'm a Bazaboo. Identify as a Bazaboo. I should start, because why didn't I ever make a thing of Bazaboo? It is a fun word to fucking say.
Because the Babao demon is what it's called, for one. And then we had a session where we got ambushed by a couple of them, and you were like, "Oh, I know what these things are," but you never said as much until like the end, where you were just like,
I don't like the metagame, so I'm like, oh, I know what this is, and then after we deal with it, it's like, oh, that's
yeah. So afterwards, you were like, so those are the Bazaboos, right? And then all of us went, fucking what? And you went,
Bazaboo. Bazaboo.
And I was like, you mean the Babao demon? And you're like, whatever, same thing. And I'm like, no, it's not. What you're saying sounds like a weird fucking racial epithet.
Where are you getting the Z from?
What the fuck this is.
You literally added like 3 letters.
I'm like, Matt, listen to yourself, Bazaboo. You sound like you're on the back of your porch yelling at the darkies to get off your fucking your land, saying, "Get out of here, you goddamn Bazaboos!"
Chewing on a sweet piece of grass, shaking my head like this used to be a good neighborhood for Bazaboo's in, dropping the property value. Meanwhile, every blade of grass on my yard is dead. I have 3 rusted out cars on the front lawn. Just an illegal dogfight and ring in the back. My house is more tar paper than fucking wood.
All of your children are starving in the back.
Yeah, I have.
Your
Oh,
battered and bruised wife is like 8 months pregnant.
I
and
have
crying.
so many child corpses and graveyards. That's what I made the dogfight and ring out of. It's just a circle of children I have lost to scurvy and hepatitis and thalidomide.
A couch laying out on your front yard that's known as the birthing bed, where all the pregnant cats go to give birth to their fucking litters.
Just you can actually see it raining ammonia over the house because of the amount of cat piss just concentrated in that one area.
A half buried tire.
I lived next to those people.
That's a majority of my family's homes.
Growing up, we lived next to the people who were just like, why are you allowed? Like, if this was like 30 years ago, you would have been run out of town. Oh my God, I forgot to tell you guys. I don't know if I've ever told you this, but this is a perfect story for Black History Month because it shows how fucked up this country is.
Okay.
So, the county I grew up in, only one police officer has ever died in the line of duty, a sheriff, in the 1920s. He was leading a lynch mob on a black jazz club, and the residents fired back at the lynch mob, and they killed the sheriff. So what the lynch mob did was they surrounded the house and burned them.
I told you the story
And
about my county, right?
And to this day, this is the rotted cherry on top of it, right? To this day, there is a shrine to him in the local sheriff's office.
Oh, damn! I don't have something like a shrine, but I think I said the story of my particular town, and well, during the age of anti-slavery, when that became a talking point, and the preachers were going about talking about the evils of slavery. Bear in mind, I live in Pennsylvania, a northern state.
Well,
so
Pennsylvania,
in my town,
it did have slave parts.
I'm aware. In my town, a couple of slave abolitionists came by the local schoolhouse to give a little bit of a speech, and the both of them talked about how this is wrong. It is not in accordance to God's plan to own slaves, and we need to come together to understand that we are all human beings and that slavery is an immoral practice. And, well, that started a riot in the town. The town rioted. They did not lynch these two abolitionists, to be clear, but they did go crazy.
Oh yeah, they were white.
They burned down the schoolhouse. They just rioted through the streets. And the two abolitionists who had come to town and had their little speech were then arrested for inciting the riot. Bear in mind, the riot was against them.
I mean, does anybody ever identify as an Otherkin?
What?
Like, oh, I was a worm. That's my Otherkin. I was just
No one's got a
worm.
really stupid Otherkin.
Or a plant.
Or a lame one, anyway.
That was a dust.
None of them was ever like, well, I was kind of a bed bug. If you feel a strong draw to him, this is the fairy talking, maybe it's possible he created your spirit or some such. There are the Heliades, the children of the sun, children of Helios. Maybe there are similar orders of beings associated with Apollo. Perhaps you have some other kind of strong connection predisposed to be a devotee. But to suppose something like being a god shard based on a name you chose for yourself on a forum or forums sounds likely to be confirmation bias, to say the least. Pituous responds to not that person, but somebody earlier saying might not be my place to say this. Pretty much all gods and goddesses who preside over creative arts of beauty are vain. They say, so Pituous, the OG, Mr. Apollo himself, says, actually, if or if not, it is my place to mention this. I do recall from reading myths that it was Athena that turned a maiden into a Medusa because she mocked her as being more beautiful than her. From what I read online, another version states Poseidon had made love to her in Athena's temple, and that made her angry. Anyhow, reading that statement made me think about
Let's call it that. Made love, and
made love,
not what it was.
Right. It's not like the Greek gods weren't known to be quite not fans of consent. not big fans.
You know what's fucked up? I found this out recently, right? So you know the rape of Persephone, right?
Yeah.
So it turns out that version of the myth is like only from Athens.
Yeah.
Like the more common version of that myth was like, yeah, Persephone eloped with Hades.
Yeah.
Because Hades was literally the one good boy.
Yeah. In Greek mythology, Hades is the only one who A, consistently does his job, and B, doesn't ask for anything. He's got a dog. Chills. And he's got a dog. So at some point, I believe it was Zeus who offered Persephone, who is not even his, to Hades. And Hades essentially went, I'll let her come by, I guess, and let her see what it's all about. If she wants to stay, fine. I'm not gonna force it on her though. And she came by and she's like, actually, I kind of like this shit.
Meanwhile, Poseidon is just raping an entire species of Cyclops into existence.
Yeah. Hades is the only god who did nothing wrong in all of Greek mythos.
That's something that always pisses, like, and you're starting to see it kind of in like more modern interpretations of like the Greek gods, but like if you have to have a fucking villain, make it fucking Poseidon. He is truly even like Zeus, as reprehensible as he is, he kind of has like a bro side to him, so it's like, okay, like you could, but like Poseidon is just like, he's a prick. He is always a fucking prick. He is never portrayed in a positive light in any of the fucking myths he's included in, because the Greeks feared the fucking sea.
The entire Odyssey was done because Poseidon was pissed.
Yeah, he was pissed that his fucking dumb side lost in the war, and they didn't give him fucking proper thanks afterwards. Even though the one guy who did want to give him proper thanks, he punished the most.
It wasn't even that. It's that the fucking Greeks pretended that they had a gift from Poseidon to give to the what are they called?
The Trojans. Because something people don't. Because like one of the domains of Poseidon was horses for some reason.
So they made the giant horse. They had a bunch of their soldiers in there. They put it out next to the sea, and they were like, "It's a gift from fucking Poseidon to the Trojans." And the Trojans were like, "Send us a sign that it's from Poseidon." And then apparently the waves like washed up a lot faster, and they were like, "Okay, good enough." And they brought it in, and then they all died, and then Odysseus is like, "Yeah, I'm a fucking military genius,
And
aren't I?"
you know what?
And then Poseidon's like, "I gave you waves."
My otherkin, Cassandra, she knew. She tried to warn the dumb Trojans. But did they heed her calls? No.
Branitham, who does not have an identity. Actually, no, he does have an identity. His identity is a -1. I don't know what that means.
I'm not even gonna ask what this one.
This guy posts a lot. He's got 130. He's got 1,332 posts. To the OP, in my belief, you could be a descendant of his. The church has a not oft discussed concept called Traducianism that maintains that the spiritual component of a person is passed down from their parents. The implications of this are given another idea, that being the notion of the gods of the nations, termed the sons of gods biblically, made offspring with human women. Should those beings exist, and if they have done that, which I believe,
How
and
fucking dare you bring the Nephilim into your nonsense?
and I say this as a Bible-believing Christian, then it would mean that there are descendants of those beings running about today.
How can you be a Christian and another? Go as the actual Christian. How can I'm asking you?
How do you square it?
Yeah, how do you square this circle?
Square what? You cut out.
Being a Christian and being an otherkin.
Fuck if I know.
He's just he legit tried. You heard him trying. He didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't decide. Fuck it. I don't give a shit. Fuck this guy. He was like, no, let me figure it out.
He put some thought into it.
And it just couldn't happen.
Look, we allow.
I'll be
people-
Lundy,
look,
I
look,
can't
look.
even do it. Ironically, that's why I passed it off the goat.
I'm fairly certain that Down syndrome people are allowed into heaven. So
No, they go on the Rainbow Bridge with the other pets.
I don't want any of these people to go on that.
No, they don't go to the Rainbow Bridge.
They don't go with the other pets. No.
No.
Also, we have no idea whatsoever. What
Also,
other
too,
beings-
that is I love the implications of the Rainbow Bridge for one reason, because in my mind, it makes me. Oh, when Jehovah killed the Norse gods, to disrespect them even more, he was like, you know what? I'm going to turn your fancy Rainbow Bridge into pet heaven.
Hey Matt.
This is where animals are going to shit for all eternity.
So Matt, do pit bulls get to go on the Rainbow Bridge or no?
100%.
All right.
They're God's chompiest boys.
we can't rule out the idea that even memory could be passed
see
along
that?
with the spiritual components.
There's a whole toddler field.
Hang on, Matt. I'm gonna post a meme for you.
So when you say son of his, yeah, I can totally see that.
Was that the end of it?
That was the end of that one.
Oh, my
There's
bad.
still a few more posts.
Keep going.
Foxlight, who identifies as a fallen angel, says to the notion of the descendants of the Nephilim running about today, he says, certainly feels as though I've been running for a very long time, smirking face. Another person whose name has been cropped out, who identifies as a phoenix, and for some reason is, what flag is that?
How can you be a fucking Phoenix, Otherkin? Their whole thing is
They can't die because they come back, so you can't be a phoenix.
Yeah, how? now you're just this one pisses me off the most now.
You're just not allowed to identify as Phoenix. Listen, fallen angel, fucking endless, regular angel, fairy,
-1, whatever the fuck that is.
-1, unicorn. At least I can conceive of death for all those things. But you have literally identified as something which cannot die.
I love that meme.
What am I missing here? Oh.
Go general.
Look, I've talked about this. Baby's got those big old arms. They look chewy.
So the Phoenix says,
Like a big old fleshy marshmallow.
Phoenix says, I'm not here to tell you what you are and what you are not, but I can give my opinion. That seems to be like a bit of a mantra. I've seen a lot of people saying, I'm not here to say what you are, blah, 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 blah. I'm guessing that's like a necessary thing to say in the Otherkin forums.
Yeah, it'd be great to go on here and be like, I'm a him.
You're a what?
I'm a Himmlerkin.
I've done a lot of work with the Greek pantheon, being a Hellenic pagan myself. Over the years, I've come to know some of the deities on a personal level, and they come and go as I need them. I was imagining what that sort of life is like. We're just like, oh, hey, Hermes, what's up? You want some coffee?
Yeah, I don't talk much.
How's the kid? How's Cupid doing?
I don't talk much to Aphrodite anymore. We had a thing, and then there was nothing but bed death.
Oh, you know what? There was also one other good god in Greek mythology.
Pan.
Hephaestus.
Hephaestus, yes, you're right. That's the one that just came to my mind. Yep. Hephaestus never did anything wrong. No, actually, that's wrong, because Hephaestus, you, like, basically enslaved Aphrodite.
No, Hephaestus, like, it was another, like, Persephone thing where Zeus just was like, oh, here, Hephaestus, you can have Aphrodite. And
But Aphrodite actually, but in the Persephone instance, Persephone was like, yeah, I actually like Hades. I'm chill with this. But Aphrodite was like, I don't like Hephaestus. And Hephaestus is like, but I can make you some cool shit. And she's like, yeah, that's fine. I guess if you make me something cool, I'll fuck you. But like, I'm not sticking around. And then Hephaestus got fucking pissed because she was going around fucking the other gods. And he chained her. He built a chain for her to keep her near him. So
no,
that...
it was like they caught him, her and 8 Ares in bed together, and caught him with a net that they couldn't break out of. And then he dragged them in front of the other gods, and they made fun of him.
But no, Hephaestus, as far as I understand, he was actually like a dick to Aphrodite a lot.
I don't think he was.
Like, expected her to like fuck him no matter what. That's what I recall. Unless
it's pretty much every other myth with Hephaestus is just him hanging out with Cyclops boys.
I played D&D with somebody who teaches Greek mythology at university level and Greek history. So,
well, you know
what they said to me. So
I'm going to tell you the secret to Greek mythology. It's all fan fiction.
Yeah, and
so I can make up whatever I want, and Hephaestus is a cool dude. There we go.
All right, then I can make over whatever the fuck I want, and Hephaestus was a rapist. Moving on.
Well, you're an
Apollo
apostate.
becoming my patron.
I'm going to make you drink. What was it they did to fucking Socrates? Hemlock? I'm going to make you drink hemlock, you fuck.
You know what? I'm going to drink something right now, and it's not hemlock, so...
And I know you can threaten me with hemlock, but let's be honest, I'll probably survive.
True. Apollo became my patron god and was so for 5 years. And during that time, I spoke with him, mostly when I was at my altar or when I was dreaming. Once our relationship was strong enough, he kind of adopted me in a spiritual sense and went from calling him Apollo to father. So my question is, if you are Apollo, wouldn't you remember talking to me?
Amazing.
and the other thousands of Hellenic pagans that pay tribute to him every day. I'm not trying to prove you wrong, I'm just curious.
It sounds like you are trying to prove him wrong.
By saying, I know Apollo and he's my daddy, so if you're Apollo, then you're my daddy, and you would know that. Holy fuck, that's crazy. In response to that, Piteous says, I'm actually not sure how I feel. Within the Angelkin, there's a shard theory of being either a clone or a piece of a higher being, and others on this topic are suggesting I may as well just be a descendant. It is unlikely that I myself was talking to you unless I were unconscious, and it would have to be a higher existence.
Think about this.
It looks like he's being convinced. He's like, maybe I'm not Apollo.
These people walk amongst us.
I should now state that I could
You
only
could.
be partly Apollo because
Someone
I'm starting
in your
to ponder
day-
if I met my twin flame.
Someone in your day-to-day life could be one of these people.
And you will never know.
Yeah.
Now wait a second. If you met and have spoken to Apollo, aren't you able to ask him about me? The reverse Uno! Unfortunately, my spiritual training with Theosophy and other religious schools have never allowed me to contact spirits in which I could have asked him myself. Obviously, the answer must lie within the source, and if that source is external, along with otherwise alien to me, it isn't likely I could contact it. I would at utmost please ask you to do this if you could, since that would lead to answering the question of my actual identity. And if I should even dare taking inspiration from him as if I am him, I'm sure he'd want me to know thyself.
If I was 40 years into a loving, healthy, monogamous, like, we own a house, both of our names are on the mortgage, we have grown children in college, and I found this out about them, I would 100% fucking divorce them without a second thought.
Wouldn't you want to keep them around so you can bully them?
No.
I feel like out of spite you would force them into a loveless marriage.
No, because I'd be ashamed of myself, because it's like, how did I get duped like this?
I don't believe you, because I think that you kind of enjoy being ashamed of yourself.
No, this would be like a unhealthy shame. This would be like the one time
I
I'd
only
be like,
enjoy a healthy amount of shame from myself, thank you.
Yeah.
Some shame is too much.
finding out my loved one is like, oh yeah, in a past life I was a Phoenix kid. I would just be like, come on, Your Honor. A Phoenix can't, like, the whole point of a fucking Phoenix is they reincarnate into themselves. You have to grant me the divorce. Please. And failing a divorce, I would just fake my death.
So that is the full thread.
Thank you, Ronald Reagan, for this episode of the Goat Pen Podcast. And honestly, many other episodes.